Hey, welcome to day one of my video log. I think I'm just going to start shooting some ramblings, daily real life stuff that happens to me on a regular basis that I think most people, and more particularly entrepreneurs in general, will find beneficial, because I think a lot of this happens to everybody. And I think it's important to share what it's really like in the trenches of being an independent solo entrepreneur, and been doing this now for close to 12 years. And I think it's really important that it's viewed in the light it really is, and not some superficial way that I think most marketers tend to portray it. With that being said, last night I had a scary moment. I don't know if all of you know this or not, but I've had two open heart surgeries since I was 23. When I was 23, I had my first open heart surgery for a valve replacement of my aorta. Was a bicuspid, which meant it had two flaps instead of three flaps, and would leak blood back into the heart chamber. So when I was 23 years old, they decided it was time to have my first open heart surgery, get that valve replaced, and I had something called the Ross procedure, where they do a double valve replacement. They basically take my pulmonary valve and replace my aorta with that, and then they give me a cadaver valve for my pulmonary valve, and therefore I didn't need to be on blood thinners and could just kind of resume a normal life of normal activity, playing basketball, working out, and all those sort of things. In fact, Arnold Schwarzenegger also had the exact same procedure done roughly around the same time I had mine done. Fast forward to 2014, approximately 15 years later, I had my second open heart surgery at the age of 38, and I had the same exact procedure pretty much done, only they had to sleeve my aorta stem because it had ballooned out a little bit from the previous Ross procedure, which they didn't know was happening, but then discovered that it had happened to many people who had done Ross procedures in the past. And ironically enough, again, Arnold had his surgery around that exact same time. So we're kind of on the same journey as far as our hearts are concerned. And then most recently in October 28th of 2020, I went in and had my pulmonary valve replaced through a catheter procedure where they just go up through the leg, and it's basically not as invasive as open heart, so it's a little bit easier. In fact, it's a whole lot easier, because I didn't have to be in the hospital for the same amount of time. First surgery, I was in the hospital for only 3 days. The second surgery, I was in the hospital for 7 days. And the third one, now with that cath procedure, I was only in the hospital for 1 day. So that was really nice. With that being said, also real quick, the reason I had the pulmonary valve replaced was it had deteriorated and kind of shrunk up or closed up to the size of a 5-year-old's. It was only 16 millimeters in diameter, when for my size frame and the amount of activity and stuff I do, it should have been closer to 24, 25 millimeters. So that's pretty significant. And since I've had it done, I'm feeling a lot better, because I was feeling a little rough there for a while. When I was exercising and riding the bike, I would, get some heart palpitations and feel, a lot of racing heart syndrome type thing, where it was almost like an arrhythmia happening. And I had a couple scary episodes. Okay, so with that being said, last night, I'm taking my son to his basketball practice. I have to go pick up one of his teammates. And I've been under a lot of stress lately, because I've had a lot going on. We've been traveling a lot to a lot of tournaments. I've been trying to get a lot of work done. I've got just all these things I want to get done on my plate. And of course, I got to take care of real world stuff too. I have to, go get some of my teeth fixed. I got to get a couple crowns and some fillings here coming up. And I had to go see my cardiologist last week, which, by the way, that went real well. So why this incident happened last night was beyond me, and why, I'm not quite sure exactly what it is. But needless to say, I've been under some stress. So I was in the car. My son and I are in the car. I'm driving. I'm stopped at a stoplight. I'm talking about how the Wisconsin Badgers took an L last night to the Iowa Hawkeyes at home, and I was frustrated with it, and I was just kind of, ranting about it. I couldn't believe it. And then the Bucks also lost at home to the Raptors, and that's the second time they've lost to them in a row. And the Bucks aren't where they need to be, and the Badgers aren't where they need to be. And I know that doesn't really matter, but, of course, I'm a big basketball fanatic, so I tend to think about these things, talk about these things. Anyway, I'm just talking, and I was kind of stressed on time, and I had to get gas. And while I was talking, all of a sudden, I just felt like this all over me, like this, out of body experience, almost type feeling where, I felt like my blood pressure had just dropped tremendously, and I felt like I was about to black out or pass out. And I've never ever blacked out or passed out from my heart condition or anything in my life, although I've had that feeling come over me on several different occasions for various reasons. And most of the time it usually happens, what they call the vagular or something like that. The reaction you get sometimes from, for some people it's the sight of blood or something, extremely grotesque. But for me, it sometimes just comes over me like getting blood draw. For some reason, like if I don't have anything in my system and I have to go get a blood draw, sometimes I'll get that reaction and I'll feel real weak, and then I'll feel like I might pass out or get nauseous and feel sick and stuff like that. So anyway, it's only other times it's ever happened, okay? And then, of course, up until my pulmonary valve replacement in October, I was doing some exercising in September, and I had one of these reactions, and it was while I was doing exercising, and I thought, man, there's something definitely wrong here. And that's when, I had to go see him again. And that's when he said, yeah, that valve is a little bit too small for you. You need a bigger one that could be causing a lot of these issues. And I noticed probably up to that point before that, a good year before that, when I was playing basketball last year. This had been in summer, fall of 19 to early 2020 before we had to quit from the pandemic and COVID. Where I was having some issues where I'd be playing and my heart would start racing to the point where I was like, okay, is it going to slow down? Is it going to stop? Or am I going to pass out? Some scary spots, okay? Not going to lie. And I knew that was caused by something that was going on within my heart, of course. Well, anyway, last night we're sitting there at the stoplight. I'm talking about the Badgers, talking about the Bucks, and all of a sudden I get this where it felt like my blood pressure just literally dropped. And I felt like either that or it was that arrhythmia type feeling where the heart just felt like it started to accelerate. Now, I can't recall, because once that initial feeling came over me, I was just in pure panic and sheer, scared that I was going to literally pass out behind the wheel of the car with my 14-year-old son on the other side, and not knowing, if that would happen, what's going to happen, right? Am I going to press down on the accelerator and we're going to go through the intersection? Is it going to cause an accident, basically? Am I going to hurt somebody, or worse, hurt my own son and myself, So it came over me real fast. It felt like I was like an out-of-body experience, like I was just floating out of my body type thing. Very scary. Felt like I was going to pass out, black out. And then as quickly as it came on and I felt that way, it went away. Okay. And as soon as it went away, I was like, wow, that was really strange. Never had that happen in my life, especially without partaking in any type of sports where I've been getting my heart rate up or something, right? So as soon as it was over, I told my son what had happened, and I said, listen, if this ever happens again, we're stopped at a park, stopped at a stop light, please grab the shift stick, press the button and shove it into park so we don't roll into the intersection and kill somebody or kill ourselves. And I said, if we're ever driving and it happens, or I ever pass out for some reason while driving, just push the gear lever up one notch automatically without pressing the button, and it'll go into neutral. And then just try to grab the wheel a little bit and steer us to safety off to the side of the road. I said, it doesn't matter what happens to the vehicle as long as you and I are safe and everyone else is safe. So I had that conversation with him last night. Then I was freaked out because when I got home, I thought, what was that really? And then I thought, maybe, just maybe, because I really didn't feel any chest pains or any weird things going on in here, that it could have just been a panic attack or an anxiety attack. And I don't typically suffer from that or don't have those, but my wife does from time to time. And I know that the symptoms are pretty strong and they feel almost the same as if you're going to die from a heart attack. And that's why a lot of times it's confused with panic attacks, are confused as heart attacks, or vice versa. Sometimes people think, oh, I'm just having a panic attack, and they're actually having a heart attack. Or most of the time, though, it's the other way. They think they're having a heart attack, but in reality, they're just having a panic attack. And I think that was happening to me possibly last night. And like I said, I've never really had one, never to that degree at least, and so it definitely was new territory for me, and that's why I was a little bit scared about it, and I wasn't quite sure exactly what was going to happen, and not sure what really brought it on. And first thought, of course, was heart, because I've had so many heart issues in the past, even though I'm healthy as anyone can be overall. But when you go through multiple heart surgeries, it's really easy to I guess they say that by adding all those surgeries to the heart, it puts a lot of stress on the heart. The heart doesn't always come back and respond exactly the way it once did, like if you never touched it and never messed with it, right? Of course. So you just never know, even though your vitals are good and you just had a checkup and everyone, the doctor says, hey, your EKG and your echo look good and your blood pressure's good and I don't see any arrhythmias on the EKG and whatever the case might be. You just never know if they just missed something else. There could be something that they didn't quite catch or whatever. So, of course, that was my initial thought. But then, like I said, thinking back to it, when the moment came on, other than the feeling of the blood pressure drop, my heart didn't really hurt. There wasn't really any chest pain or uncomfortableness. And now that I think about it, I don't think the heart kicked up in gear like as an arrhythmia, like where it got out of sync and it was just racing or anything like that. And I wear this, if I can see it, can't get in the camera. I wear a Fitbit, right? And, I always check my heart rate regularly, and I should have checked it right when it happened, but I was kind of terrified at the time, so I didn't really think about it. I did check it after I had time to think about it, but it was pretty normal. I was at like 61 heartbeats, and, my average resting heart rate is like 49 or something. And so it didn't have any indicator there that something goofy happened. So anyway, I believe it was a panic attack of some sort, and I hope I never experience it again. It was definitely something you don't want to go through. If you've gone through them or suffered through them in the past, I can completely relate with you now, as I know exactly how it feels. And I hear that sometimes they start slowly, and you'll get just little glimpses of these things, and then they get worse and worse and worse as you get more and more of them down the road. So we'll see. I'll keep you guys up to date on how that goes, but I'm not quite sure. Like I said, I know there's been a lot going on. I've been working real hard. I've been putting a lot of stress on myself. I know I want to get a lot of stuff accomplished and do a lot of things, so I can see how this could easily have happened. And yeah, anyway. Now, besides that panic attack and the stress I've been going under and my history with hearts and everything else that I'm talking to you about today, just the good old fun-loving digital marketing world that it is, and us relying on technology and doing a lot of this stuff. I'm sure you can relate to this too. I'm running into some issues today. Yesterday it started with I can't get to my Google Sheets on my computer. It just keeps saying unable to load. Try to reload, and you try and you can't get through, and you can't get through, and then then the message pops up, says you could troubleshoot by going here. It opens up a Google page and it says, clear your cache and cookies from your browser. Okay, so I did that, and that seemed to fix it originally yesterday morning when I needed to get access to one of the sheets. Seemed like it was okay. Last night, go to get onto one of the sheets, get the same error. Can't figure it out. Try doing the same thing, clear cache cookies. Nope, doesn't work. Google it. Try to find an answer for it in Google. Doesn't seem like anyone's reporting anything like it's happening to everybody, so it definitely is something that's more isolated just to me and my browser. Find a website that talks about 5 things you can try to do. And of course, some of those are the first things I tried and they didn't work. But one of them was to test it out by going incognito in your browser, trying to go incognito and see if it works then. And if it does, it most likely is something to do with extensions, Chrome extensions, possibly. Okay, because I use Chrome for this, because that's where all my Gmail accounts are logged into, and that's what's associated with my Google Sheets account and my Google Docs account and everything else. So, of course, it worked, and that's as far as I've gotten with it so far. And now I think, for the time being, or maybe for I don't know how long, I'm going to just be using an incognito window in order to actually access all my Google Sheets, Google Docs, all that stuff, which sucks. But at least it's a workaround on that PC that'll work. And I can always use another browser like Opera or Firefox or something else too, and see if it works in one of those. And I'm sure it might, but it's just, just so angry that stuff like this has to happen. Like, why does that even have to occur? Why does it have to break down? What happened? What changed? I mean, I didn't even install a new extension lately or anything like that. So it's like, what's going on here? I'm just dumbfounded, right? What else did I want to talk to you guys about today? I'm sure there's some more stuff, and it's rattling around in my brain. But while I'm thinking about that stuff, I want to talk a little bit about memory. I'm no spring chicken, right? I may look nice and young, and I hopefully you think I'm as young as one would hope, right? But I'm going to be 45 in March, and I still feel young. I still do a lot of exercising, and I take care of myself really as well as I can, and all that sort of thing. But I swear to God, my memory's getting worse and worse and worse, and I think it's kind of normal. But it's a little bit scary because, who wants to be forgetful and not remember things? But what's really odd is I tend to forget a lot of little things right up front. Like the short-term memory is like not good. Almost like the movie Memento, right? Or Memento. And I'm not sure what really causes that or what is happening, and it might just be that I'm trying to pack so much in there because I'm thinking so much about so many things that it's just overwhelm overall, right? And maybe perhaps if I were to do a little better job of writing down what I'm thinking and what I want to think about and such, instead of just trying to remember it all the time, it would be better. I would do better, and I would probably recall it better. But I can't tell you how many times I had a thought in my head and I'm thinking about it and I'm going to say it, and then I say it and then I can't remember what I was going to say. And I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? So I think that comes down to a little bit about information overload. Like I said, I'm just thinking a little too much about too many things. And I like to think of it kind of in a funny way. That's kind of like, if you're familiar with Married with Children, you ever watched that show? Kelly Bundy, was his daughter, and she was kind of an airhead, or they portrayed her that way, of course. And Christina Applegate's character, Kelly Bundy. And there was a funny episode where Bud was teaching her some stuff, and as she was learning something and it was going in one year, she'd forget something very important coming out the other year. And when I think about it, I'm like, dang, that's just about what's going on with me. Like, I can really think about this stuff. I'm learning something new, or I'm trying to think, but man, now I forgot something else. Like something else is completely gone, and I'm not sure why or where it went or what's going on. So, on that note, I've been rambling for a little bit too long, I think. I don't know. But hopefully these will do you some good. Hopefully they're relatable. Hopefully you can understand. And I'm gonna try to do one of these a day, I think. I don't know. We'll see. But, I'm doing my podcast at Kerry Knoll show. And whether or not this should be actually the show instead of what I'm doing with the show, perhaps we'll see. I mean, everything's so brand new this year in 2021. I'm trying to do gazillion new things. Like, I started doing way more social media posting. I started doing my growth marketing mindset. It's called group coaching calls once per week to people who want to learn more about digital marketing and building and growing their business using social media and other things. And of course, I was like, dang, I should really start a podcast because podcasting is so powerful. And so I started doing that. And then, man, I was like, maybe I just need to do some of these like candid videos that are not really thought through. I'm just going to hop on camera, start talking about what's going on in my life, things that have been bugging me a little bit, or, things that I struggle with and things that I actually go through on a daily basis. Because I feel like you guys probably could use some of that, and maybe you can relate to some of it, and it would help you out a little bit too, because maybe then you won't feel like you're the only one. And even, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one either, meaning that, there's other marketers bigger than me that go through a lot of the same stuff that I'm going through on a regular basis, if not more. They just may not share about it as much, or talk about it, or choose to talk about it for whatever reason. But I want to be different, I want to be able to connect a little differently on a different level and keep it real. That's the whole goal. I want to keep it real. So we'll see how this goes. I'll probably just be posting these every as often as I do them right directly to my YouTube channel. And like I said, there's not going to be any rhyme or reason to most of them. A lot of them are just going to be, the struggles I go through on a daily basis, or something that really got me on nerve for the day, or maybe it's a win, maybe it's something positive. It doesn't always have to be negative, for sure. And I don't want this to be just this, that, and the other has gone wrong today. No. There's going to be some good stuff. There's going to be lots of good stuff too. So I'm going to share as many good things as I can as well. And on that note, yesterday, because even though I suffered through that traumatic experience, which I thought I was definitely going to die or pass out for sure, one positive is I think I got all my QuickBooks figured out. I think I got all my checks and balances, all my accounting done in QuickBooks Online yesterday. I think maybe that added to the stress, because I was working on that sucker all freaking day, and I worked on it a little bit the night before too, and it's a lot of time. And I itemized everything like I did. Normally I just do it for tax purposes, but you know what? I'm like, dang, this is a really good tool. I usually track all my business expenses in a Google Sheet, and I write what I'm paying for, how much it's cost me per month, and keep all those totals and figure all that stuff out. And I thought, why am I doing that when QuickBooks Online takes care of all that for me? Makes sense, right? I should just do it through there, and then I can. But the trick is you gotta categorize things, so when you run a profit and loss spreadsheet, or report, I should say, profit loss report, you can quickly at a glance see where all your income's coming from if it's itemized. You can see where all of your expenses are, if they're completely itemized. And so not only is it great for tax purposes, of course that's what my accountant always wants, is he just wants me to hand off he's got access to my QuickBooks Online, but he'll go in there and run that report for whatever year we want to file taxes, and it just makes it super fast, super easy for him to file the taxes. But I should be using it just to see, oh gosh, I don't need to be spending money on that service or software, or oh man, if I did this, I could save that, and yada yada yada. Because there's lots of spots, I'm sure, within your own business, if you're running your own business, where you could be, as much money as we need to earn and want to increase our income and take it to another level, just removing some expenses will increase your bottom line, right? So it's important that you can constantly see that, judge it, and take action and fix things accordingly. And you can see that at a glance real fast. But the trick to that is, like, I've been in QuickBooks Online. I've had to use it now for 2-3 years since I moved to the online version. And I think I've been in there 3 times, because I always looked at it as, oh, I don't want to do that. I'm too busy. I only do it when I need to for filing taxes, like I said. But really the trick of it is to get really familiar with it, get good with it, get used to it, and then use it on a regular basis. Try to get in there once a month, maybe once every week. Heck, you can get in there once a day and balance it out a little bit. I mean, whatever it is to reduce the amount of work you have to do with it when it comes time to actually file taxes, right? So the more you can get in there and do little bits and pieces over, smaller amounts of chunks of time, then the less you got to stress about, oh man, I got to balance out a whole year's worth of data, and that sucks. Especially when you do like I do, and I use my business account for everything. I mean, everything. So, there's tons of transactions that need to be added and categorized, and I forget, with PayPal having its own bank in there, and in my business account, bank account in there, you got to make sure you don't double dip, meaning you don't want to, you want to make sure you're not adding the income twice, right? So if the income's coming into PayPal and it comes in as a sale and recorded as a sale, and then I transfer a bunch of money out of PayPal into the business account, that can't be the same. Sorry about that. I was interrupted for a second, so I had to pause. But now where was I? So, right, this is where the memory issue comes into play. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna try to put these out as often as I can. I'm going to talk about all kinds of things that come up, and the little things that I'm struggling with, and the little things that I'm actually doing well with. And these things might be business related, they might be personal, they might be health related, they might be whatever. I mean, I don't know. It is what it is. Hope you enjoyed it. And with that being said, I will see you guys and talk to you guys real soon. And if I think of something else I wanted to actually say, I'll just make another one, because that's the beauty of this stuff. So I hope you'll join me on this journey. And if you haven't checked out the Kerry Knoll show yet, go ahead and do that. If you are interested in helping yourself and grow your business, and you need a little extra push or a little extra direction, that's what my group coaching program is all about, and it's super duper affordable. I don't know if there's anywhere else you can get the kind of information that I'm providing, with the amount of awesome entertainment that I also provide for the, what is it? I think it's less than the price of a pizza for 4 hours a month, which is 1 hour per week at this point. I mean, it's almost a no-brainer. I would think I would have a gazillion people in there, but I don't yet, because it's relatively new. But hopefully, if it's great and you love it, I'd love for you to pass that information on to others, and that would be really helpful to me. So if you haven't checked that out yet, it's at kerrysgroupcoaching.com. So don't forget that. If you can't, I'm trying to use easy to remember domain names. Learned that little trick from Frank Kern, and I thought, that's a good idea. So I bought a bunch of those. Like, it's Kerry's yada yada yada.com, and this one's Kerry's Group Coaching. Now the trick is you got to spell Kerry correctly, obviously, right? Group coaching's not too tough, but Kerry, it's Kerrys, plural, groupcoaching.com. You check that out, and I hope you'll join. Okay, so thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. I will see you shortly, or talk to you soon. Take care.